Hi guys, trade unionist Mick Lynch continues to be right about Tory MP and Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp. He is a liar. So the Conservative appeared on Brexit and Tory-friendly GB News to discuss Donald Trump's tariffs. And in a narrative you're going to hear for the next few weeks and months, he claimed that the 10% tariff was a Brexit benefit. Now this line is about misleading the public, but that's what the Tories are good at. Have a listen.
Right, we were going to head to a break, but actually we're delighted that the Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, has popped up slightly earlier than we were expecting. So that's a good sign, Mr. Philp. Always good to see you this morning. Can we kick off talking about tariffs? Because although, perhaps we've got some Brexit benefits having only these 10% tariffs coming in from the United States rather than the 20% that the rest of the EU is seeing that are going to kick in a couple of days, it's still going to be bad news for British business, and the 25% on car manufacturing as well obviously is potentially devastating. What should we do? Is the government right to be taking its time to consider, to just be holding its response quite close to the chest at the moment?
Good morning, and sorry for being early, I think for the first time ever in my entire life.
You're very welcome.
Look, this is concerning, these tariffs. Thank you. First of all, you're right to say this is a Brexit benefit. If we were still in the European Union's customs union, then we would be facing 20% tariffs right now. So this is a Brexit benefit for sure.
Okay, I had to respond to this because this is what you're going to hear day in, day out from Brexiteers. Now remember, these are the same people, the Brexiteers, who said it would be a wonderful thing if Donald Trump became president in 2016. They said it would be a wonderful thing if he was re-elected president in 2020, and he needed to be president once again in 2024. Now, these are the same people who, they wanted Donald Trump to become president, and they're now celebrating a 10% tariff on imports from the UK. Let that marinate in your mind for a moment. Because if Joe Biden had won, or not Joe Biden, but Kamala Harris had become president, we wouldn't be seeing these tariffs. Like, the same people who wanted Donald Trump to become president are Brexiteers. The same people who wanted to leave the European Union. Now, the thing about these tariffs is that they're based on trade surpluses or trade deficits. So if the US imports a huge amount from a particular country, Donald Trump is imposing a massive tariff on those countries. For example, Switzerland is facing a massive tariff. Vietnam is facing a massive tariff. It's not about the value of trade, it's just the percentage of trade, or whether there's a trade surplus or a trade deficit. So this means that the UK is facing a 10% tariff because it's not trading a huge amount with the US in goods. Trades more in services, but the amount of goods we're talking about is not that big compared to the EU. So the EU trades more with the US than the UK does. Now, Brexiteers will say, well, that's still a Brexit benefit. No, because the whole point of Brexit was that the UK would stop trading with the European Union or reduce its trade with the European Union and trade more with the US. So if the UK wants to increase its trade with the US, then it's going to see a higher trade tariff imposed on it. So the 10% now, but if UK trade were to increase with the US, well, then Donald Trump would impose a higher tariff. Would that be a Brexit benefit? Now, the whole other point is Donald Trump is completely unreliable. So Donald Trump may drop these tariffs a few months down the road. So the Brexit benefit would, of course, disappear. Then it was not a Brexit benefit to begin with. Because surely a Brexit benefit is something permanent. So when people start talking about Brexit benefits, you're talking about how the UK trades less with the US than the EU does when it comes to goods. And then you're talking about somebody who you campaigned to get into the White House, who's punishing you now. And then there's the whole point, of course, how leaving the European Union has deeply damaged the UK economy. So this is like, selling your home or giving away your home and then sleeping under a bridge but finding a 5p coin, somewhere in the dirt. This is not a benefit. It came at a huge cost, if you want to call it a benefit. But the Tories and the Brexiteers will continue to talk about how, yes, isn't it great that Donald Trump is in the White House? You know, once again, if Joe Biden or Kamala Harris had been in the White House, there wouldn't be these tariffs. And isn't this a great benefit of Brexit? No, because you've already damaged yourself. You've already cut off your own legs by leaving the European Union. So finding a penny is not going to compensate.